Hi you guys, I am ready to start Module 13. I am so excited because we are starting our module on fractions, which is big, and very exciting. So, you are going to need your second math workbook. It's a little bit skinnier. We're on page 353, which is kind of silly because we're starting the book, but they're just adding the pages from the first book. So don't get confused about that. So you should have done the Are You Ready quiz on your own. Now this quiz was all about like shapes and dividing equal shares. We've kind of done this a little bit with calendar math, so I hope that the quiz went okay. Speaking of calendar math, you have a new April calendar math journal, so please be working on that every day. And all right. Oh, the other thing you should have is this fraction strips page. It was just tucked into the to your math workbook. So this is just for you to refer to. It has it very nicely color coded, and so I think it's just a good visual when we're talking about fractions and dividing a whole strip into pieces. So I hope this is helpful. Do you know he is being so loud? Okay, hopefully you can't hear him. All right, so I am on page 353, like I said. Before we begin, I want to just say that I'm super proud of you guys for going through your math workbook by yourself, following along with me, working with your parents. I know that this is a huge task, and I know that it's not easy, and I know that you're trying really hard, and please know that if you are frustrated with a lesson or you're not understanding it, it's okay. I don't want you to stress. I don't want you to feel bad. I know this is a crazy time, and this is a big module that we are starting. And I went back and forth, you know, like, should we do it? Should we not? And I decided that we should, because you guys know our math routine so well. You guys know what to do. So even though this is a new topic and fractions sometimes is a little scary, I know you guys can do it. But please know that if you just need a mental break, put your math book away, come back to it a few hours later, and there is nothing wrong with that, and that's not gonna make me mad or make me upset or anything. I completely and 100% understand. So there's my pep talk. Let's get into it. All right, page 353. I'm on the top. The blue bubble, our I can statement says, I can identify, draw, and name equal parts of a whole that is divided in different ways. Okay, so identify, draw, and name equal parts is our goal today. All right, spark your learning. Shen, Missy, Aisha, and Zane make flags of the same size with 4 different color sections. Which students divide their flags equally? Which students divide their flags into sections that are not equal? So this is a story problem. The first question I ask myself is, what do I need to find? I need to find the students that divide their flags equally and students who divided their flags into sections that are not equal. So I am just looking at these pictures and I'm trying to determine, okay, which ones are equal and which ones are not. Right off the bat, I am looking at Aisha's. She has this really large red section, this really like medium-sized white section, a small blue, and a tiny green. So Aisha is definitely not divided into equal sections. Okay, and then as I look a little bit closer, I'm noticing Shen. So the blue and the white look like they might be equal, but the white is a little bit bigger. The red is tiny and the green is really large. So Shen also did not divide into equal sections. Now Zane over here, I see that the red, green, blue, and white are all the same size. So these are equal sections. Same with Missy. Missy is going the other way, but they're all equal sizes. Red, green, blue, white. Okay, so that's what I would write down. The next question says, Zane says his sections are equal in size to Missy's sections. Is he correct? Explain how you know. All right, so Missy and Zane are our people who divided into equal sections. Now, because they both divided into 4 pieces, and because the flags are the same size, and I know they're the same size because it says right here, they make flags of the same size. I know that these sections are equal, meaning Missy's white section is equal to Zane's white section. And this is because if I take Missy, so she's going the long way, like this. Oops. Okay, so this is actually going to come up later in the lesson, but I'll still use it. If I take this paper, so imagine this is part of Missy's flag, she's going this way. If I take those long pieces and I cut them in half and I put them side by side, that is equal to one of Zane's section if they're side by side. See that? So instead of going like this way, one on top of each other, I fold it in half and put them next to each other, and that is one of Zane's sections. Isn't that so cool? It looks like Missy's would be way smaller, but the truth of it is, it's the same, it's just longer and skinnier. So cool. So write that down in your own words. All right, the Turn and Talk says, how can you tell when a shape is divided into equal sized parts? Well, the first thing that we look for is just by looking at it, right? Something like this, if it's obvious, then it's easy to say, oh yeah, those are not equal size parts. So when we look at a shape, we want to make sure that the lines aren't like all wonky. Everything is, straight and equal. All right, next page. Number 1 on our Build Understanding, it says, Seth compares the flags of different countries. So we have Colombia, France, Indonesia, and the Czech Republic. Part A asks, which flags show a whole divided into equal parts? Okay, I'm gonna pause right here and go to my vocabulary box because it's using the word whole and equal parts, and those are both in my vocabulary box. So I'm gonna read that. A whole is all of the parts that make up one shape or group. If all the parts of a whole are the same size, then the whole is divided into equal parts. So a whole is everything that makes up one group. So we have one whole flag, another whole flag. Then the equal parts are just the parts of a whole that are equal size. So equal parts, equal size in that whole shape. All right, so which flags show a whole divided into equal parts? So which of these flags have equal groups, equal parts? Well, I'm looking at Columbia. Columbia, the blue and the red look like they're the same size, but the yellow is much bigger, so it's not Columbia. France has the blue, white, and red. Those look like they are the same size, so France is one. I'll write that down. Then we have Indonesia. So Indonesia is split right in half, red on top, white on the bottom. Those are equal parts, so I'm going to write down Indonesia. Now the Czech Republic is a little bit trickier. This is a triangle, trapezoid, trapezoid. So these are, the trapezoids, I'm guessing, are equal to each other, but the triangle is not equal to the trapezoids. So not the Czech Republic. Part B says, which flags show a whole divided into unequal parts? Well, I know that because I determined France and Indonesia have equal parts, which means Colombia and Czech Republic do not. So I'm going to write that down quickly. All right. Into how many equal or unequal parts is the flag of Indonesia divided? So even though they're unequal, I know that there are still 3 parts. They're just unequal. So I would say 3 unequal parts. And that's what I wrote down. Draw one flag with equal parts and one flag with unequal parts on the grid. Explain how you know that your flags have equal or unequal parts. So on the grid up top, it wants us to draw our own flag. So I'm gonna draw one. I'm following the grid lines as close as I can to make them the same size as the other flags that are pictured. So I'm following the lines to be really straight and neat. Just doing the best drawing that I can. Okay. All right, the last one got a little wonky. Okay, so here are my flags. Now I'm gonna divide the first one into unequal groups. So I'm gonna go like that, and then I'll do a little tiny one and 2 big pieces. Okay, so I know that this is unequal, and this is what I would write down at the bottom. I know this is unequal because I have a really, really small section, a giant section, and then 2 medium sections. Now for this one, I want equal parts. So I'm gonna be very neat. Now I am just following the lines on the grid to show, oh, that the top got a little bad. Uh-oh. We'll just ignore that. I'm gonna fill it in. Okay. Ignore the top part. You don't have a pencil. So I just followed the grid lines to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really, really tiny stripes. And I know that these are equal because I measured 1 grid line, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I followed right on those lines. So that's what I write on the bottom. All right. Number 2, the 137th Street School holds a contest for a new flag design. The school wants all flags to be divided into equal parts. The name of equal parts of a whole depends on the total number of equal parts. So we've talked about this in calendar math, that the bottom number in a fraction is the number that represents how many pieces of the whole. So there's a name for each of those. So it wants us to match the flag with the name of the total number of equal parts the flag shows. So here we have thirds, sixths, eighths, halves, and fourths. So now I'm gonna go through and I'm just gonna mark how many equal sections should be in each of these terms. So we call it thirds because it is divided into 3 equal pieces. 6 are divided into 6 equal sections. 8s are divided into 8 equal sections. Halves are divided into 2 equal sections, and fourths are divided into 4 equal sections. So now I'm going to go through my flag, count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to line that up with the eighths. 1, 2, 3, line that up with the thirds. 1, 2, 3, 4, line that up with the fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, line that up with the sixths. And 1, 2, those are my halves. Okay, so these are all names for how we divide. So you could say, oh, I divided this flag into thirds. That would tell me, oh, there's 3 equal pieces. Or, oh, I divided the field into halves. That would tell me, okay, there's 2 equal sections. I divided the flag into eighths. That would tell me, oh, there's 8 equal sections. So that's just kind of how we describe how we're dividing a whole. All right, it says, do equal parts of a whole need to be the same shape? This is a very interesting question. They don't necessarily need to be the same shape, but they have to take up the same amount of space. So like let's go back to our Spark Your Learning. So we have these 2 flags, and Missy's and Zane's flag is divided into equal sections, and those equal sections are equal to each other. So Missy's equal sections are equal to Zane's equal sections. Now they don't look exactly the same. They're both technically rectangles, but we used this to determine that they're the same, they take up the same amount of space. All right, let's do our check understanding. A circle is divided into eighths. How many equal parts does the circle have? Oh, hi, Juno. A circle is divided into eighths. How many equal parts does the circle have? Well, eighths, that tells me there are 8 equal parts. So that's what I'd write down. Is the square divided into thirds? Explain. Well, there are 3 equal parts, but does that mean that it's divided into thirds? No, because I know that thirds describes an area that has 3 equal parts. So I would say no, and then explain why. No, because the size of each part is not equal, so they're not thirds. Number 3, write whether the shape is divided into equal parts or unequal parts. All right. Number 3, the parts are, so I have my triangle, it's divided into halves. There's 2 equal pieces. If I fold the triangle together, those sides would match. So this is equal. Number 4, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a hexagon divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Now you can tell that this side and that side, those are small, way smaller than the 2 big middle sizes. So those are unequal. Number 5. Okay, here's that other situation again, like from our Spark Your Learning. I drew this on this paper, so it's like this in our book. Okay, so I take this shape. I know these 2 are equal and these 2 are equal. How do I prove that they're equal to each other? Well, all I have to do is fold it in half. And now I see, okay, these 2 pieces equal. If I put those together, those equal this one shape. So I went from having it from on top of each other to having it side to side. That's how I can look at it. Instead of on top of each other, side to side, this section equals this section. So this is the parts are equal. Isn't that so wild? So cool. This might be fun for you guys to try at home. So what I did to draw this, and that will kind of help you see visually how it works. I just took a regular piece of paper, I drew a line down the middle to split the paper in half, then I split this section in half again, and then I split this section in half. So half of a half is fourths, 4/4. So cool. All right, number 6, write the name for the equal parts. So number 6, I have how many pieces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal pieces. So this is divided into sixths. It's funny saying sixths because I want to make sure that you get the X and the TH and the S. Sixths. All right, number 7. Number 7, this shape is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces. So these are fourths. Number 8 is divided into 2 equal pieces. So these are halves. Alrighty, number 9. A biologist wants to measure how far bees travel from their hive to obtain nectar. How should the biologist divide this flower field into equal-sized sections? Label the sections 1 through 6 to record where the bees visit. Explain how you would analyze the results of the experiment. All right, so over here, my book is kind of folded, but here we have our beehive and a field of flowers. So I want to divide this field into 6 equal sections. So I am going to divide it in half first. And the reason I know to do that is because 6 is divided by 2. So I'm going to do it, divide by 2. And then how many pieces do I need? Well, 2 times what number equals 6? 2 times 3 equals 6. So I'm going to go and divide it into thirds. Now my book was kind of curved, and so that wasn't the best drawing. But here are my 6 equal sections. I would divide this I would label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now it asks, explain how you would analyze the results of the experiment. Well, I would look at, let's see, what is it asking me? How far bees travel from their hive to obtain nectar. Well, I would just look at my, the section 5, because it's the farthest away, and I would see how many bees travel to this part of the field because it's the farthest away, or maybe they stick around in section 2 because it's closer. Maybe they venture out to 4 or to 1, but not really out to 5. So I would just observe like where the bees are going. So you do that, write it out in your own words, and then answer this question at the bottom. What is still unclear to me about finding equal parts of a whole? What are some things that you're still not quite understanding after we go through this lesson? And then hopefully those questions get answered as we go through the next lesson or your homework assignment. So that's it for today. Just a quick little intro to wholes and equal parts. So I hope you enjoyed it. I love fractions, and so I'm very excited to start this unit. So I hope you guys are too. Let me know if you need anything. Love your guts.